I'd like to talk to you about something really important today. What does AI do to us as human beings when it reproduces our work? And I wonder, what does it do to us? And is it an accelerator for something that many people experience a little bit later in life? For this exploration, I will be drinking a lavender rose bush tea. I hope you're also drinking something delicious, preferably a tea. If not, now is your opportunity. So the title of this video essay is Meet Yourself Now or Be Replicable, a reflection on being human in the age of our technological reproducibility. I'm probably butchering that word, reproducibility. So let's explore what to do at the precipice of an era-defining shift. It's 2026 right now, and I live in Silicon Valley in California. I was born in '88 in Germany, and I grew up as an artist with all the promises of wealth granted by capitalism. I was told to work hard, to build something meaningful, to become a brand, to achieve. A woman with an artist degree, you can prove that you're worthy by succeeding in business. Materialism is the guiding principle of the world. You should get famous. You can be anything you want. You will be happy when you achieve it. With artist stipends, my successful entrepreneurial ambition, I tried quite a few things and I've been successful and I've been recognized as talented, and crucially, I struggled with this idea of being made whole by, or even worthy by, financial or academic success. So what was the story I absorbed there? Interestingly, it was divorced from reality. I was successful and by many means I was happy. And it had nothing to do with the frame of expectation that had been set for me. The myth of productivity justifying my existence as a human and my worth, that I would be happy once I had something that I craved, turned out to be a lie. And unknowingly, I had withheld a deep soul level satisfaction to push myself forward, to branch out. I did get to work for great companies, but it was unrelated to my personal satisfaction. And this satisfaction was moving away at the same pace that I was moving toward it. So finally, when COVID hit and my life fell apart, frankly, I applied entrepreneurial principles. I sold my belongings and I made my life lean and agile and moved from Germany to Silicon Valley. Now, Silicon Valley and Silicon Valley with AI are two very different things, so I've learned. Silicon Valley with AI in the room. So in the land of the brave and the free, the innovators of the world, something that had been glorified in the entrepreneur scene where I came from, I saw that, yes, there are many opportunities, but also the Kaiser was not wearing the clothes I expected. So I met incredible people, talented entrepreneurs and innovators, hungry, curious builders with a vision. But work culture in the US is very different than in Europe, and it treated me to a new understanding. Some of the people I knew and met got caught in immense workloads, fueled by their own passions and hollowed out by what it took them to reach their goals. Others held a precarious balance between the work they deeply care about, 8 meetings a day, their family, and the Silicon Valley mortgage. I was at a networking event yesterday and somebody put it in this way. In Germany, a minute seems to have 90 seconds, and here in the Bay, a minute seems to have 20 seconds. So yeah, recently a lot of workers got more than usual actually got laid off, and the reasons for that vary compared to the company and the narrative. Is it really AI? Is it just AI? Is it a combination of things? We're not 100% certain, but people are being replaced, let go, and of those that are still employed, a higher productivity seems to be expected. At least that's one narrative that we can explore. So the individuals that I met, they were able to use AI to amplify their existing abilities. And I vowed to be amongst those people, who innovate when presented with opportunity. As an artist and somebody who helps people find who they are and find clarity on their life, it was very interesting to observe how AI is being used by people to find images, to visualize, to get feedback, to also get mental health care or insight into themselves. So I watched AI get better and watched it become capable of replacing some of my visualization skills. So at first, they were really bad. I tested AI's abilities on a visual story on how to brew coffee. The AI results got better quickly, And the writing on the wall was clear. My skill would be in some ways replaceable. What I invested time to learn, what I invested money to learn, gone. Or at least the value on the market shifted. So the story of selling that skill undid itself, and with it the value of my college education, as well as my past idea of value creation, what that actually is. What does it mean to succeed now? If you take away my work, what am I succeeding at? Cue an image by Google's Nano Banana. So if you like swirly coffee brewed from whole beans by the universe, it's a great visual. But this is just version number 1, and version number 5 is almost perfect. There's just one small mistake. And yeah, it speaks for itself. So with AI, we may be working on the edge of humanity's innovation, and at the same time, the former cultural equation of outer and inner success seems to be dissolved. Speaking to successful founders who became spiritual seekers in their later years, it seemed that they experienced. In fact, speaking to successful founders who became spiritual seekers in their later years and experiencing deep personal shifts, to start over. With AI, we may be working on the edge of humanity's innovation, and at the same time, the former cultural equation of outer and inner success, no. With AI, we may be working on the edge of humanity's innovation, and at the same time, the former cultural equation of outer and inner success seems to be falling flat. In fact, speaking to successful founders who became spiritual seekers in their later years, they seem to have experienced deep personal shifts like ego disidentification, and their own success had become almost a little joke between them and the universe. After their entrepreneurial success, they started seeking the sense of internal completion that I'm speaking about. Finding answers transformed how they saw their prior achievements. Closer to a stepping stone, permission slip, you're done kind of thing, to seek what was there all along, where their chronological order of understanding the self would have been better placed before the unfolding of their success. So I believe access to AI has accelerated this development for all of us and forced transcendence. Our capitalist hero narrative promised us happiness in exchange for hard work and productive citizenship. But what materialism suggested to postpone for later is now coming to collect. And what strikes me as a visual artist and life clarity guide, this exact thing that is currently happening to humans has already happened to artworks. Art pieces have changed when they became reproducible. So, we have the original, photography, copies, casts, and so forth. And then, of course, digital photography. And they have become more widely consumable and accessible. But while their visibility grew, there was the cost of losing something else. German Jewish philosopher Walter Benjamin called this loss the decay of aura. What disappears when a work becomes infinitely reproducible? He laid this out in his 1936 essay, The Work of Art in the Age of Its Technological Reproducibility. And he wrote it from exile. He was a heterodox Marxist with a mystical streak. And unfortunately, he died at his own hands at the Spanish border in 1940 while he was fleeing the Gestapo. So here I am sitting in my San Jose office, and I don't fancy myself a critic of capitalism per se, but even a blind person can see what is happening right now. AI is both a great helper and also a thief, and these are not mutually exclusive. These are not mutually exclusive, and I say this as a passionate user. The companies with the means of production are harvesting humanity's collective value creation patterns. And they are growing. So it's a big topic, and I'm not here to make a moral call on this. For one, because it's not easy to do, and because these are the questions I'm actively trying to find an answer to. And I would be super interested in your opinion. Who are we when what we do can be reproduced? How do we change when what we can do and how we create value is being reproduced at scale? What does it do to our hearts, to our relationships, to our creativity, our purpose? What does it mean for the value of our work? What will our societies look like? What satisfies us with being alive? And all of these are big questions, so I waited to let the bigger picture about AI impact come into focus. And the major differentiator seems to be our ability to experience life. So my intermediate conclusion is this, that we can no longer afford the luxury of not knowing our most intimate selves. we can no longer afford the luxury of not knowing our most intimate selves. Therefore, we must seek the clarity of deep self-knowledge. When we got collectively hypnotized that our main value is what we can do for others, we have delayed happiness by however many decades it takes us to get out of our survival mode, or as we call it, a career. Therefore, we must seek the clarity of deep self-knowledge. When we got collectively hypnotized that our main value is what we can do for others, we have delayed happiness by however many decades it takes to get out of survival mode, or as we call it, a career. In a paradigm of doing, with AI copying us and competing for our value creation, we can no longer afford that delay. Now, this is my personal opinion, but again, I'd be curious what you think about it. I don't think we can afford it financially and certainly not emotionally. I believe we need to ask ourselves differently now as the circumstances we live in have changed. If a program or a robot can do what we do, we must urgently find what makes us human and what is irreproducible about us. And instinctively, the clues are also in what people hate about AI, especially in art. The lack of sacrifice that is needed to acquire the skill, the time and energy that is invested by a human with limited hours to live. An AI agent, even one named after a favorite French Impressionist painter, can only mimic the experience of being human. An AI agent, even one named after a favorite French Impressionist painter, can only mimic the experience of a human. Can echo our phrases. It can echo our phrases without the body and the pain and the death that is inevitable for us living beings. It is cheap, critics say, and the moral angle reveals the longing for authenticity and human connection. A connection that has been carried by the artifacts of human work, which can be enjoyed by other humans beyond the individual time of the creator. AI forces us to ask the questions of meaning in life beyond what we do. And looking at older traditions, we can find questions and answers. One of these I would like to share with you in a little parable. A bar with 4 voices. A bar with 4 voices. Imagine a few folks meeting in a dive bar. What is this? A bar with 4 voices. Bar. Okay, maybe not. Imagine a few folks meeting in a dive bar with moody lighting, declaring themselves to each other over glasses of mind-numbing liquids. There's epistemology, and it says, I think, therefore I am. Capitalism says, I own, therefore I am. These two get along fairly well, and as you may imagine, QAI coming by, absorbing what they said and declaring itself in turn. I mimic what you are, therefore I am you. Epistemology looks offended, but capitalism is most interested as it senses an opportunity. A human nearby overhears them negotiating their usefulness to each other. This particular human has spent watching their own... No. It is a story narrated by the nervous system so that we can distinguish between the body as self and the speeding bus as other. None of you are real. Language is not the thing itself. The only thing real is the being alive in a moment. It is the act of being, which none of y'all can do. We are, we create, that's real. Claim, extract, and copy you can do, but being born, dying, and everything in between is the only thing that is. The human blinks. They are alone. Looking at the mirror wall behind the bar, they see themselves. This is inspired by being alive as a human in the year 2026, Walter Benjamin's essay, The Work of Art in the Age of its Technological Reproducibility, as well as Marcel Duchamp's The Creative Act.